Hello everybody and welcome back to the latest episode of Dogcast. I think we're on 12 now. Obviously lockdown's going on a bit longer than we all thought. I don't think I've done 12 episodes. So thanks to everyone who's sticking with us and keeps tuning in. This week's guest, if you followed my story, you'll have heard of him. It's Fats. Like I said before, I've been quoted saying that he's probably the biggest influence on my career and my life in general. So I know a few boys have mentioned how much of a help it's been for them. So we thought that it would be great to get Fats on because he's got a great story himself and he's been such a big impact in so many players' lives. And just give a bit of a background on what he does at Leeds. How are we doing, pal?
Good, mate. Thanks for inviting me on.
Right, that's it. Well, your name's not actually Fats. People start getting confused and thinking who calls his son Fats. That's his nickname. That's what everyone calls him, and I think that's what everyone refers to him in the press and stuff when we've done interviews. So why Fats?
I've had the name Fats since 9 or 10 year old. When I first got introduced to rugby league, I played at an amateur club called Eastmoor in Wakefield, and on my first appearance there, the guy that set the junior sections up there, because there wasn't much junior rugby about in those days, was an international referee called Fred Lindo. The oldies will remember him. A great character, and I turned up for the first training session, and he said hello to me, and he said, "Have you got a nickname?" I said, "No." He said, "If you have now, it's Fats," and it's stuck ever since. And it's something that I've grown up with, and it's something that's really helped me in certain circumstances with my mental health, because it's drove me on. I could either, all the kids broke down laughing when he said this, and continued to laugh for a few weeks. But I sort of said, right, I can even live with this name and carry on, or just fade in the distance with everybody laughing. So I live with the name, and I don't mind it. In fact, I think there's only my wife that doesn't call me it.
Well, that's it, mate. I think I've been interviewed a few times now, and people say, "Well, so what's the player welfare's name?" And I go, "Fats." I said, I don't know what his actual name is. It's Fats. So it is a strong name. It's a strong name. Everyone knows you as Fats. Obviously, you're the player welfare at Leeds Rhinos now. But you're also a qualified counsellor. You've got your own company called Swansea MC that you do help just the general public and stuff like that. So you are really qualified in helping people. It's not just turning up and having a brew with a couple of lads. You do know what you're going on about. So how have you been finding lockdown? How has it affected you, and what have you been doing to deal with it?
I think it's affected me like it has everybody else. I've had my low days. I've had my thoughts on, gee, when is this going to end? When are we going to get back to normal? Are we ever going to get back to normal? What is the real normal? And so I've tried to carry out myself the things that I try to instill into some of the lads and some of the people that I work with, and that's, working on your toolkit, kicking up a routine and trying to be mentally fit.
You mentioned your toolkit, Fats. What is that for people that wouldn't know what a toolkit is?
Yeah, okay. A toolkit is something that you put things in that help you feel happy, feel good, and you use them. If I can give you some examples of mine would be a regular routine. Mine would be exercise. Laughter is a massive one. Diet, I put in with one hand and take out the other. It never makes it. Quotes from people, and my 1, 2, 3 list, which I can explain about that if you want in a minute, and my gratitude and my mindfulness and my meditating, and also talking. When I'm feeling though I'm having it a bit tough and I'm feeling a bit low, I make sure that I talk. I think that's a big one.
So you mentioned this toolkit now. And we're all imagining you've got all these things. Now, that's pretty overwhelming to a lot of people, how much you've spoke about the gratitude, mindfulness, your diet, laughing and stuff like that. So these are all things, obviously, that you figured out over the year that help your state of mind and your mental health. So what makes you recognise that you need to dig that toolkit out and use it, or is it just part of your daily routine now that you have to use that?
It's both. It's part of my daily routine. For instance, exercise and routine. Looking at a few quotes, and my gratitude and my empathy and my mindfulness are all daily routines. But then if I'm feeling a bit flat, I'll delve a bit deeper into that bag and think, well, what haven't I been doing that can make it? And probably try something else, or something, or even throw something out of that bag and put something new in it.
Yeah. The thing that strikes me with that is you're a bit older. You're a bit older than I am. Let's just say that. Now, people who are struggling now, or have been struggling over a period of time, like I said, that's a bit overwhelming, the amount that you've got in your toolkit. Would you say that was just a day where you sat down and you went, right, this is what's going in my toolkit, I need to decide, or is that just over experience what you've reflected on and you thought that works for me, I'm going to start using that, and then over time you've built this toolkit up that you know you can depend upon now?
Yeah, I've built that up over a period of time. And you're right, it would be overwhelming to other people. So what I would say is if you haven't got a toolkit, have a go. And in that toolkit, just put a couple of things. Maybe a routine is good. Exercise is certainly good. I can give you an example in lockdown how exercise has worked. She might kill me, or she might not mind me saying this, but
well, she'll not watch it anyway, mate. There's over 10 people watch it, and I doubt she's one.
My wife, I've been with her 20 odd year now, and in that period of time, and she suffers from a bit of mental health issues now and again, a bit of depression and low moods. And in that time, I've known that she's not run the length of the living room. And in lockdown, we started to go out together and started to exercise together, and her mental health has improved no end. And that's one of the key things that she will definitely keep in that tool bag.
Great to hear. You mentioned one that people have heard me bang on about, and you created this inside of me, gratitude.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell the people, because you banged on about it a couple of times, me trying to get this 21 days it was, when it 21 days,
yeah,
write down 3 things that create what you're grateful for, and then another 21 days that'll create empathy, and then another 21 days that'll put you in a better state of mind. And when you said that to me, I was like, gratitude, I'm just not into it. When people say it, it's just a lot of rubbish, and it's just a word that people use, but it had a massive effect on me when I actually did it. So why was you so forceful, or did you think it was that big of a deal for me to start doing a gratitude exercise like that, and how could it help other people?
I think you didn't need to do it. I think you had to look outside yourself and look around you and be grateful for what actually you had. That's why I kept banging on about it, and I keep banging on about it with a lot of people that I see, and you know that. I think it's something I've been doing for quite a long time, and I mean quite a long time, not just a couple of years. I mean decades, but not known I've done it. And when the science started to come out on this, it sort of clicked on me that actually I've been doing that for quite a while. It has been good for me, and it really hit home when I was working in Ireland. I had and this really intensified me in practicing it. I had a group of children come over from Johannesburg in the townships there, and they come over to play some tag rugby when I was living in Ireland. And in those days, going back to mid-90s, they didn't have a lot of money, and we didn't have a lot of money to put them up. So in those days, it was still allowed to what we call billet people out. So we put them with families.
Yeah. And
we put these children with families. And I get a call just before the game started, setting up for the game on that Saturday morning. I get a call from a mate of mine who'd taken 2 of these children in, 2 girls. And he says, you need to come down here straight away. So I jumped in the car panicking, what the hell's going on here? And I opens the door, and he's laughing at the door. I'm saying, "What's up?" He says, "Come with me." And he texts me upstairs, and we stood outside the bathroom, and we just heard of these screams of laughter and hysterics and water splashing everywhere, and these girls refusing to come out of the bathroom. And the reason they refuse to come out of the bathroom is because they've never had a bath before.
Yeah.
They've never seen a shower before. And it really hit home to me and think, Jesus, how grateful I am just to have a shower. How grateful I am just to have a bath. You know, and from that period of time and working with them kids for that short period of time and the smiles that they had on their face, and they got nothing, it just really brought it home to me.
Speaking about gratitude now, a lot of that and a lot of these traits that you're speaking about in this toolkit that you've got, some of those traits you already had, obviously, as a person. When I speak about it, I didn't have much of the traits that we've worked on. And then from those traits that you already had, through your experiences that you've gone through with your life that we'll touch on soon, have probably, like you said, have made you focus on them a bit more. So that's just giving people an insight to, or if you don't feel these traits that Fats has already put in his toolbox that you can't have it, it's about understanding something, learning something and practicing it. And that's what I've done with the gratitude is become, you told me to do that, and I'd say I was grateful for everything. I knew I was lucky to have my family, I knew I was lucky to have the career I had, but it wasn't a feeling inside of me. But from doing the exercise that you give me and writing 3 things down a day, eventually over them days I started to look at certain situations and got a feeling inside me of empathy, and actually was thankful for what I had, instead of actually someone asking me a question, well, are you lucky? And I will, obviously I've not had no disaster in my life. So obviously we touched on the toolbox and the type of person you are and what you. I want to now push on to your story. Can you give us some background in how you got involved in rugby league, or what you've been involved in rugby league, and also what led you to becoming a counsellor?
Yeah. Start at the beginning then, I was brought up in Wakefield, and I've got 2 older brothers, one 6-year older and one 8-year older, and they played rugby, and my dad played rugby. So it was a natural path that was heading for me. It wasn't the path I wanted to go down. I wanted to be a pop star or a jockey. I'd got 2 problems with that. One, I can't sing, and the other is I can't walk past the fridge without opening it and eating. So I had no chance. So it was rugby that I took up, and I played rugby all my life. I played with Bradford Northern, as it was then. Not very well, but I played there. And then I went on to doing some coaching. And then I ended up being the development officer for Rugby League in Ireland. And I did that for 5 years. I came back then and worked with foundations at Bradford, Rugby League foundations, and at Leeds. But while doing that, me and my wife fostered children. We fostered children for 14 years. And while doing that, this is where I picked up the skills of counselling, of mentoring, of anger management, of de-escalation, of you name it. I picked up a lot of skills. And we finished fostering. And I had a conversation with quite an high-profile coach. He gave me a ring one night, and he was having a few issues. And we had a conversation which was going on for an hour and a half to 2 hours long. And I put the phone down. And my wife says, "What are you doing?" She says, "What do you mean, what am I doing? I'm helping him out." She says, "No, why don't you turn it into something? Why don't you turn it into a profession? Why don't you transfer the skills that you've used in your fostering career and use it to start and work in sport?" So that's what I did. And that's where Swan CMC was born. We got the name Swan through me and something the wife used to say when we were working in fostering, and I were working in professional sport as well at the same time. So we saw a lot of people that was trying to be positive, trying to do the right thing, going along with their lives, feeling as though they can't crack, but really they were paddling, and they were paddling underwater really, really profusely. And so that's why the name Swan come from. So we're smooth on top of the water, but some of us are paddling underneath.
Yeah. So in that, obviously, that's helped you along the way to dealing with people and a bit. Have you got any stories from that you can share with us of the challenges that fostering did throw at you, really?
I can't talk about individual people because of confidentiality, obviously. Yeah. But we had a variety of children in. I think it was about 23 children in the whole 14 years, and we work for a fostering agency, so we get children from all over the country. Which all these children had come through a really tough time, which could be neglect, which could be abuse, which could be addiction. So we'd have foster children from mother and babies. My wife used to get young mothers in who just had a baby, and she used to have to assess them, and make sure they're doing everything okay with that baby, right up to teenagers and preparing people to transition into the real world. Because unfortunately, when we did it, I don't know if it's changed now, but when you were 18 in the foster care system, that were it. You were cut off. You were out on your own, which is pretty cruel. So we're a real variety of children that we looked after.
Yeah,
with all sorts of different challenges. Yeah.
So that led you to when I was at Warrington. What year was it, Warrington, when you came?
2016, was it? 2016?
Yeah, it might have been. So up until this point, we'll give you a bit of background on Fats's role as a player welfare. All I'd known as a player welfare coming through, it was either an ex-player or someone who'd been involved in a club that would just do a job to tick a box. And it was basically what we used to get from Warrington. We used to get free Nando's, free cinema tickets, discount off clothes. So basically just providing perks for being a professional athlete, really, and getting what you can. And that was great. We used to love it. So you're going for a Nando's and getting half off your Nando's. You were buzzing, and this for 20 odd day before a game, rocking up. And Tony Smith, who we spoke about this in previous podcasts, was a big believer in player welfare. And you've got a relationship with Tony, and Tony brought you in, and we all looked at you and Tony like you was three-headed snakes. Like, what is going on here? He's bringing a counsellor in. The environment that we had at the time wasn't really open. It was so alpha male. And that first year that you was at Warrington, I think we walked past each other in a corridor and we'd have said hello for a long time, wouldn't we? And we had no relationship, did we?
No.
And then from that point, you then moved to Leeds at the same time as I moved to Leeds. And I was like, oh yeah, he's a great bloke, Fats. Everyone's got a lot of time for him and stuff like that. But we still had no relationship, did we? So this just shows the difference in where I'm at as a person and the difference you've made at Leeds Rhinos, really. So what Fats is an actual counsellor, and put it one way, I've never had a free Nando's off him, so we don't get any free Nando's off him. But what he does is probably the first person that does provide that support for people, and people who's followed my story will have seen how much of an effect he's had on me. So do you just want to give your opinion or your version of my story, really, and what we went through?
Yeah, I'll start back at Warrington, if you don't mind, because I think that was a really important one, because Tony, after conversations with him, knew what I was doing, and I'm forever thankful that he bought into the concept of the way I wanted to do it, and that was coming into the club as an independent, because I think that is really important. For people to gain some trust into you, that actually you are an independent person or company that you can come and deal with your issues with. So
what you mean by that is that you wouldn't have any bias to the club, really?
No.
Any issues that I had, whether it was with the club or would affect the club, you didn't have to go and report back to the club. It could be 100% confidential between us.
Yeah, my job is the welfare, and not just welfare of players. It's the welfare of people. So unless I've seen anything different, coaches are people, physios are people, players are people, cleaning staff are people. So if they've got some issues as well, it'd be quite unfair that you can't actually sit down and listen to them and see what they are and see if you can help.
Yeah. Yep. So do you want to push on from that time when Tony brought you in at Warrington?
Yeah, well, he brought me in. I was at Warrington for a short while. It was then while at Warrington, and I'll always be thankful for people at Warrington: Tony, Richie Agar, Breezy, and all the staff and players. Because during that time, I had a tragic event where I lost my son. He died, and he died in tragic circumstances. And we had to readjust our lives and go through the turmoil of actually losing a child. And the support that I got there was great, and I'll be ever so grateful for that. But come that October, I got finished at Warrington, and luckily got a phone call from Leeds to move to Leeds, which it was a club that I'd been to before, working within the foundation many years ago. So I was quite happy to come through the doors there, because it was just like coming home a bit, really.
Yeah. And the interesting thing that you said there, Fats, I'm glad you brought it up, because I didn't know whether you wanted to speak about it or not, but the loss of your son in 2016, at a time where you was already doing this player welfare situation, but from my point of view and what you've helped me through, and that was a big learning curve for me, and made me realise how good of a bloke you was. I was coming up to you with all these problems, and I think I said it to you at one point. I said, how can you be dealing with my problems and you wouldn't have even known what you was going through? So how much of an impact did that have on you? Was it a release for you to come into training and help other people? Did that also help you deal with what you was going through?
Yeah, I think it worked as a type of therapy. That I could still do my job. I could still get knuckled down and help people. I've been doing this for years and years, as far as long as back as I remember. I mean, we talk about counselling qualification and this qualification, but utmost I'm a carer, and I like to care for people, and that stems right back from having to care for my grandma, my mum and brother. My grandma got dementia, and back in those days, it weren't dementia, it was she's going mad. So they couldn't handle looking after her, and I looked after her and started caring for her. And as far back as then, 20, 30 years ago, that I can remember that I've tried to help people all along on the way. Not successful all the time, but we can't be, can we?
Yeah. And then obviously, like I said, you came to Leeds, and the issue that I came to you and reached out to you for was nothing really to do with the birthmark. We didn't have a clue about the birthmark at all, did we? And I'm glad you're on, because when I tell my story, it's as if I feel like people don't believe me that I didn't have an issue with a birthmark. And now I look back, I think one of the interviews I did where I said he was just probing me. A lot of the stuff that we've been through, did you already see that in me? Or was it just as we went along, it all came out?
I think I remember the particular day you're talking about, the Sunday, and I put the blue light on and came down to your place, and we went on a walk, and I think this is the first real conversation that we start to get to know about Brad Dwyer, and without giving, even though you're on in front of me now, we aren't giving anything away to your story, because I don't think that's fair. We got on that canal and we set off walking, and I think, we got to know the real Brad Dwyer and what some of the issues that you might have to deal with. So 4 mile out of Wigan, we stopped and turned round and started to work from there.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get the blue lights out for someone else at that rate. I thought you'd got to pass out with how far we walked. But that is it, and that's the difficult thing with what you do. It is all confidential. And obviously, I'm in a position where I'm pretty comfortable speaking about mine, and I'm so grateful for what you've done for me as I try and push it out there as much as I can. But there's so many people that you've helped within the club, and I think it's important that we do things like this to just push and basically show gratitude to what you're doing for us. So we spoke about how grateful and important it is for me to push your message, and how much of an influence you've had on me. But in yourself now, looking at what you've created in this environment at Leeds, so the likes of me, the likes of Don Crosby, I know Richie Marler, pretty open about speaking about how much of an effect you've had on them that we're trying to help other people now within our environment. And I'm sure there's more people. The environment that we've got is really open and really honest with each other. So how proud of you are you of the impact that you've had on that group compared to what it was like when I said I sat in front of you in a meeting room and thought, they got three heads. Why is this guy coming into our rugby environment? It's not what happens in rugby.
I think if we go back to the beginning when I first walked in at Leeds, and I don't know if anybody can remember this or you can remember this, Brad, that I stood up and I said, what I want to try and create is a safe environment. And what I meant by that was a safe environment where people could come and have a chat with me, could come and have a chat with the colleagues, and could support each other. You can only do that if we create a safe environment. So I remember saying that, and through the work that Kev and Richard have done as well, which has been absolutely fantastic on getting that team spirit up and getting them values, we started to create that safe environment, which is starting to work. Which some of you lads are sorting your own problems out between yourselves now, which is great because it's less work for me. But it is working. It is working. That safe environment. We might not like everybody that we work with because that doesn't happen wherever you go, whether you work in Tesco or in an engineering factory. You don't like everybody, but you can respect everybody. You can have a bit of trust there, and you can feel that you're in a safe environment.
And on to we spoke, and I know you speak about it in your story. We don't want to give too much of Fats's story away because it does do it as a presentation and about some of his experiences. But the one thing you do speak about is ripple effect and basically how your actions can affect others. Do you want to talk through, just so people can hopefully listen to what you said and realise how important their actions are and how much of an effect they can have on other people?
I think it's going back to the toolbox, and I think it's going back to gratitude and kindness and respect as building them skills up for you to have. You know what you got to remember with the ripple effect, and the ripple effect is basically if you throw a stone in the middle of a pond, there's going to be a lot of ripples, and that's just like anything that you do in your life. If it's bad, you'll throw that stone in the pond, and all them ripples will be the people, if you've done something bad, that it's affected.
Yeah.
But also, that works vice versa really well. Those ripples really work well if you do something good as well.
Yeah.
So it's just remembering that and remembering your values. That actually, you know, if I do something good, it's going to affect a lot of people. My mum and dad's going to be proud. The fans are going to be proud. My friends are going to be proud. Yeah. And so that just carries on and carries on.
Yeah. The last subject that I want to go on to and talk about is I've realised now that when you open up to people and you become vulnerable, so for example, what I've done and opened up about my story, for whatever reason that was, but what you find people then coming towards you and wanting to open up around you, people you'd never expect it from. But obviously, because they've seen you open up and be vulnerable, they feel comfortable coming being vulnerable around you. Mm-hmm. So anyone who's got any problems now, whatever they may be, for one, what advice would you have for them? And what would you ask them to go and do if they was at a stage where they want to reach out? See, for me, I was fortunate that I felt comfortable coming to you. A player welfare at my job where it was. Now, some people would feel totally uncomfortable going speaking to a stranger, whereas for me, I'd struggle going speaking to my dad or my family or any family member. I still struggle opening up to them. I find it so much easier to open up to you, and that's what it is. So what advice would you pass on to anyone now that's listening to this struggling and they wanted to open up? What would you say to them?
Let's take it right back to the beginning where we talked about a toolkit. And let's everybody that's listening to this, if you've not got a toolkit, start and use it. And the first thing you're going to put in that is talking.
Yeah.
Because that's a great tool. That's a great tool if you get any problems to offload how you're feeling. I am absolutely brilliant. People are saying to me, I had a call this morning. Somebody said to me, "Are you all right?" No, I'm not. Listen to this for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I offloaded what was bothering me.
Yeah.
So talk about it. It's fantastic. It worked with you. You came in and talked.
Yeah.
You know.
True that. And what I would say to that is, it's difficult, but just go and find that person that you do feel comfortable. It can be anyone, and don't feel bad if it isn't the people that you feel like you should be talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing on talking that I found is I found myself pulling up to a coffee shop ready to meet you. This is throughout the 6-month period that we were really intense of how much we were seeing each other. But I remember pulling up feeling awful, and I think, why am I going seeing this guy? He cannot fix my problem. He cannot turn this feeling off with me. And I also thought, what am I going to speak to him about? I didn't have a clue what I was going to go in, and I didn't know what my problems were. I didn't know what there was. But as soon as I got in with you and I came out, I just felt so much better. It was strange. And you'll agree, I'm not putting you down because you created this environment for me. But a lot of the figuring out, I've done myself.
Exactly.
In that environment with you.
Exactly. I didn't do anything, Brad. You did it. Yeah. What I did was create the environment for you to do it in.
Yeah.
And part of that environment were my ears.
They're a bonny pair. That's why.
And by listening and giving that bit of guidance, you did all the work yourself. And it's the same with everybody else. You know, talk.
Yep. And on that note, mate, I think we'll leave it. Like I said, you've been the biggest influence on me, mate, and I'll never get bored of saying that because of how much it's changed my life, and it has. And I hope that you think as much as I do. But we're more or less mates now. I wouldn't say he was my counsellor. Is that what they class him as? But yeah, I hope this has helped some other people. And like you said, if anyone needs any help, check you out. Swansea MC, is that on Twitter?
Yeah.
And there you go. So thanks very much for coming on, pal.
No problem. Been a pleasure. Thanks, mate.
Sweet.
Cheers.
Legend. Thank you very much.